Hey guys, Aaron Marco here with Critical Response Training, helping make you better protectors of yourselves and the ones you love. Guys, it's time for your Tuesday training tips. So it's no secret that I am a huge advocate of carrying concealed firearms for self-protection if you have the mental and emotional responsibility to do so. But what I want to talk to you about tonight is why I think you should also be carrying a non-lethal form of self-protection, what that form of self-protection is, and I'll give you some tips on how you can use it maybe a little bit more effectively. Okay, so what is the non-lethal form of self-protection I recommend you carry? And that's always going to be a quality OC spray or pepper spray. Technically, OC is oleoresin capsicum. That's the concentrated ouchie stuff that they put in the pepper spray that makes it work. Some people will still use the term mace, but that's really a brand name and refers to a type of tear gas. Typically, what you're always going to see these days is going to be some type of OC spray. So that being said, the brand that I choose is Palm. I carry Palm pepper spray, and I have for several years now for a couple of different reasons. One, they make a really high quality OC, highly concentrated, and has that instant debilitating pain that you really want out of a quality OC spray. Secondly, the units that I choose and I use in all of my classes for the students are these pocket clip units. And so what this allows me to do now is it allows me to carry this intentionally. So wherever I put it, it stays there. And rather than kind of throwing it maybe in the bottom of your purse or maybe just throwing it in the bottom of your pocket somewhere, I put it wherever I want it, and that's where it is. I carry mine in my left front pocket, and I have it perfectly staged that it is ready and quickly available for me. Okay, so let's talk about some of the advantages I think that pepper spray gives you. Well, first and foremost, it's inexpensive. Okay, so everybody can have it. For less than 15 bucks, you can have a quality unit. That being said, you can actually have multiple units. I always have one on me, and I keep a spare one in my car. I always make sure all of my loved ones have them available as well. Okay, so inexpensive. Another really great thing about it is I get about a 6 to 10 foot reach advantage, depending on the environment, whether I'm inside, outside, and what the wind is like. I can usually depend on about a 6 to 10 foot reach advantage, and that's pretty awesome. One reason I don't like to recommend things like stun guns is those are contact weapons, and being in contact, that's a whole different context. So 6 to 10 foot reach advantage. Another thing that's really awesome is that I can deal with multiple attackers at one time with this, and that's a really great advantage there. And maybe the greatest thing is that nobody actually dies when you use pepper spray. Now, I'm not saying that if the situation calls for lethal force that you shouldn't use lethal force. You definitely should. Anything you need to do to protect your life. However, if we're talking about self-protection, we're really talking about complex problem solving. And I really think at the end of the day, for most of us when dealing with interpersonal violence, that there's more likely a potential pepper spray solution to the problem than there ever will be a potential firearm solution to the problem. That being said, you need to be able to use your own best judgment and apply the level of force that's necessary for that. But what I want to have is I want to have a force continuum, right? So I want to have this ability to escalate force if necessary. So one of the things I say as concealed carry holder is you cannot say the last thing I ever want to do is shoot somebody if that's the only tool that you carry. Okay, so that can only be the last choice if there are previous choices. That's the way I run my life. Okay, so that's what I think. So at the end of the day, those are some, I think, of the pros for pepper spray. So maybe a couple of tips on how to use it more effectively. Well, one, actually how you deploy it. Most of the times you'll see this kind of thing right here. This is not effective. This is not a natural position for the wrist right here. The better way to deploy this is really making a fist and then using your thumb for the trigger here. This is much more natural and gives you a much more natural point of aim. So that's one. Two, carry position. I don't recommend throwing this in the bottom of a purse or just kind of administratively somewhere. Be intentional about where you carry it. I think your tool should always be carried on your belt line particularly. That's the way I teach it. Additionally, not on a keychain. Okay, so the thing about keychains is they have keys on them, and you need to use those keys to unlock locks. So let's talk about maybe going into your house and understanding that your doorway is a transitional zone, and it is a place that that attackers tend to look for launching their attacks. And so anytime you're hyper-focused on one area, you're less focused on the rest of the areas, so limiting your situational awareness. And I think we can all agree that taking this little thin piece of metal and trying to slide into that slot takes a pretty concentrated amount of effort to do that. Okay, so not putting on a keychain. Certainly nothing like this. This is an example I used to show of how you should never do this. Like, where is it? I don't know. Where is it? Okay, I still haven't found it. There it is. I found it. Okay, so understanding that having your tools readily and available is what actually makes them tools and not just objects that you have. Okay, so that's a couple of tips on how you can be better with your pepper spray. That's my recommendation, guys, for you. That's your Tuesday training tip this week. Guys, be safe.